I want to talk about three benefits I believe developers bring to communities. Oftentimes, I know developers get bad raps. They're seen as gentrifiers that come in and don't care about changing the fabric of the community, all in the name of profit. And then the homeowners in the area are left with higher tax bills because the value in the area has now increased. I know also another concern is around the displacement. Sometimes the long homeowners in the area, they're concerned that developers are going to come in and just steal the properties from underneath them. And then also you have renters who are concerned that their buildings may potentially be sold, and then they won't be able to remain in the area which they may have lived in for a while, or they just area that they like. These are all valid concerns, and I think that there needs to be more conversation and a public-private partnership to ensure that we can help stem some of the side effects from development. However, I do think that when done correctly, when done responsibly, development does help neighborhoods. It helps ensure that we can build and maintain prosperous communities. For instance, one way, a lot of the properties that we buy, whether they're flips or rentals, the majority of them are vacant properties. As you all know, the more vacant properties a neighborhood has, that starts to come with vacant property problems. You have people that may hang out around them. You may have a lot of trash that gets collected in front of it. The grass goes uncut. The house is just an eyesore in the neighborhood. And the more that happens, that's the less pride of ownership that people start to have in the area because people are starting to leave. So what we're able to do, we're able to come in and buy these vacant properties. They could be either bank owned, city owned, or they could still be owned by a person who may have had it passed down to them, or they may have recently moved from the area, or there's a number of reasons why the property may be vacant. But what we're able to do is buy these properties, fix them up. We're putting amenities in the properties, such as we're adding a master bathroom in most cases where the house is big enough where we're adding a half bath on the first floor. We're updating light fixtures. We're running all new electric, all new plumbing, all new heating system. And then, we're just making sure that everything is new, up to date, and has some of the latest design features. So now people, whether they're buying the property or we end up renting the property, they're coming into a property where they feel that pride of ownership, where they feel like they have to maintain it because it's new, it's shiny, and it looks good. So what that does is it helps. So the more vacant properties that we fix up and put back into the community, that's bringing people who now care about the upkeep of their community, the upkeep of their house. So we're bringing that pride of ownership, sense of community, helping encourage that in the neighborhood by making sure that the neighborhoods have as many or as few vacant properties as possible. And then in line with that, as we're fixing up these properties, oftentimes, neighbors, they want to stop by, they're curious as far as what's going on. And then a lot of times what ends up happening is we're showing them things that they can do in their house that they may not have even necessarily thought of. For instance, putting a half bath on the first floor. A lot of people expressed a lot of interest in that, but they may not have even thought that it was possible. So they see with our design and layout how it may be possible for their house, things that they can do to add in their house, whether it's finishing a basement, maybe putting a half bathroom in, or just reconfiguring the kitchen layout or something like that. How they can get more enjoyment out of their own property for the time moving forward, because they saw how somebody was able to come in and using the same style house, reconfigure it to make it look a lot different. So then they're able to do the same. And then oftentimes, if we're doing work in the area, and let's say we're building a deck, and somebody's like, oh, I've always wanted a deck built as well. Oftentimes we're able to do the work for them as well, since we're already in the neighborhood. So we're just helping them get more utility out of their house that they've been in for a while. And then the last thing I'll touch on is we're increasing the value of the neighborhood. So I know that earlier I said that increasing the value of the neighborhood means higher property taxes. However, what a lot of people don't realize is that the net worth of a lot of people in, I'll say, communities of color are tied to the equity that they have in their house. For most people, that their house is their biggest asset. So that equity really is what their net worth is. So when you have a situation where, if you live in a non-gentrifying neighborhood of color, if you were to go try to get a home equity loan on your house, whether you're trying to send a kid to college, whether you're trying to consolidate some debt, whether you're trying to take money out to fix your house up even more, or whatever reason why you may need to take out that home equity loan or line of credit, could be to start your own business. What happens is, if there aren't a lot of home sales within your area that have been, let's say, top of the line, brand new, newly rehabbed, when the bank sends their appraiser out to look at your property, you're already starting at a disadvantage, because they're going to send and make sure that the property value that you get is not the highest property value that you could potentially get. But because there aren't any real comps that may have sold, let's say, at the top of the market for your area, you don't have too much of a leg to stand on to fight that appraisal. It's also known as, so the banks say, or people may say you got a bad appraisal, but also what it is just mortgage discrimination. So what happens as developers come in and we're building the community up, fixing these houses, and then selling them for those that sell for that top dollar in the area. Now, when you go to a bank to try to get a home equity line of credit, there are comps that are in your neighborhood, so they see what the top of your neighborhood goes for fully redone. And then even if your house isn't fully redone, they can still look at your house and say, okay, well, it's not fully redone, but it's well maintained. So if a fully redone house is worth, this amount, then your well maintained house may just be worth a little bit less than that. So you'll get a lot more money. You'll be able to borrow a lot more money on a home equity line of credit or a home equity loan if you were to need to go to the bank and take one out. So those are just three quick things, benefits that I see developers are able to bring to communities. I always encourage responsible development and making sure that development is community focused. That way, so that everybody wins. However, there's always two sides to each coin. So where somebody sees a positive, somebody may see a negative. But I just want to start having these conversations to get it out there so that people can see the positive things that developers do bring to neighborhoods, and then we can work on trying to stem some of those negative things that happen as a causing as a reaction of some of the positive things. So let me know what your thoughts are. As always, if you gained any value, please like, share, comment. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts as well, as things that I may not have mentioned, whether they're benefits that you believe developers bring, or positive, or possibly some of the negative things that you bring and think need to be brought to light, so that we can encourage more responsible development and hopefully stem those things. So once again, thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, comment if you found value. And until the next time.